Welcome back, saucers.
Welcome back. It's a fun one.
I know.
Get ready.
I know. I mean, there's just so much going on in the world, and like we're like we got to talk about it all. We still will, but like we got to like break it up and have a good silly goose times. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just to preserve our sanity and extend our lifespan, because I feel like our life expectancy, rather.
Same thing. But I mean, hey, and what better way to do that than to kind of be self-deprecating and make fun of ourselves and like put ourselves on the line? Because we really want to talk about embarrassing stories today.
Yes.
And I'm really interested to see like what your barometer of shame is. Like it could be different from mine, or it could be similar. And like those of our listeners listening or watching on YouTube, maybe yours is similar. Maybe what would embarrass us wouldn't embarrass you, or vice versa. Maybe you're going to be horrified by what we shared today. Be like, why would you share that? I mean, what are you going to do?
I'm trying to think if there's one in here, because I know my mom's listening, because my mom is one of our loyal listeners.
I just found it. And
I apologize in advance, Mom. It's not the best, but it happened, and this is my life, and I'm your daughter, so it happened.
I just added a really good one that I forgot.
Okay, good.
Okay, let's just get into it.
Let's go.
Do you want me to go first?
Yes.
Okay. Well, this one's, you know what I mean? This one has to be universal. It's probably happened to everybody, but maybe not. And I'll just set it up like this, right? This was 4th grade. So I was like 10. And we were in a school like field trip to Philly. I'm from South Jersey, so Philadelphia school trips for like history stuff. It was like, so we always went to Philly. And I remember we went to like these old, Revolutionary War barracks, where the military used to live or, be stationed at. And, they did this thing with like the people that runs these barracks and these museums, like, they had us all, these kids, lined up in a military, lineup essentially, you know what I mean? Like with really straight posture, and you just can't move, and then like a drill, and then like they have like a sergeant, a fake Revolutionary War sergeant, be like, all right, soldiers, stand up straight and you must stay standing. And I don't know what the purpose was, but they had us stand for such a long time, kind of like as if they were like testing us to see like our abilities to stand straight and forward.
Your stamina.
Right. And then like, all right. And then, to stand right. And I forgot the terms. I used to do this all the time. Not all the time, but I used to know like the terms of left, right, kind of like that stuff.
The military.
But anyway, like 10 minutes into this, I'm like, I gotta pee. And I don't know what to do. And I'm just standing straight, but I want to be a good like little soldier. And I'm like, fuck, I gotta pee so bad. And I remember like getting my teacher's, like I didn't want to leave the line, but I remember getting her attention, and I'm like, I'm mouthing to her, I'm like, I have to pee. And she's just like, you have to stay there. Like they wouldn't let me leave.
Oh my God, that's weird.
So I'm like, oh, like this is getting bad. And I remember, I will never forget. Captive. Yeah, I will never forget. Shout out to Josie Laster, wherever you are, Josie. She goes to me and she's like, girl, you're going to pee your pants. And I'm like, oh no. And then I peed my pants.
Oh my God.
And it was like, basically, yeah. I mean, the entire class basically saw, because I was like inching away out of the line, and I just like left line, walked up to my teacher, and I said I peed my pants, and she's like, oh no. And I didn't bring a change of pants.
You don't, what?
No, I just remember we went to the bathroom and she was trying to like help me like dry my pants, and it was just so embarrassing. And it was like, I remember the next day at school at lunch, I remember someone like turning from this boy, like turned from his table and looked at me. They're like, hey, Alyssa, oh my God, what did he say? He was like, did you have a fun time at the field trip yesterday? And made like king noises. I will know. It's like burned in my mind.
Yes,
and it was just like my first, cause I didn't have, and we've talked about this in our core memories. Like I didn't get embarrassed easily. Like I literally spread my butt cheeks with clothes on to my sister's high school friends. Like, I would tell every boy that I had a crush on them. I would go right to their face and be like, I think you're hot. Tell everybody, sing songs in front of them. Like, I was not
That's like
an embarrassed kid, but this was like my first time being like humbled.
yeah. Like, oh,
Like, oh,
I
I'm
control my bodily functions all the time.
Yeah. But it was kind of like, fuck you. Like, it's sort of
Yeah.
abusive for a gag, for this like fake military gag to
That's
force
weird. That's
to
weird that
force
they were
a
like
10-year-old to
That's
like stand in line
disturbing.
when they're literally being like, I have to pee. You know what I mean? It's not like I didn't give them, I gave them a warning.
Oh yeah. See, that's like you're asking, and then you're just like, well, I asked. It's not my fault at this point.
I know. Whatever.
So when I was thinking about these stories, or like trying to think of embarrassing stories, I was like, how I was trying to think of the times that I have been completely mortified and wanted to like crumble to dust in the ground, because that's like an extreme. And there aren't that many. I thought of two, because of what you just said. Like, I'm not immune to being embarrassed, but I just, things roll off and then I just forget about it. Like, and so, but this was my most embarrassing story for a long time until the second story happened. But the first story, I was in college. And so I had one boyfriend in college, and we hadn't started dating yet. We really liked each other. And this was my first night staying over at his place. But he wasn't my boyfriend yet. Like, we were, in that flirty stage. And it was like, we're going to bed. I was laying under his arm. My head was on his chest. I was under his arm, and I was just dozing off. Like, and both of us, it was dead silent, and then we're just dozing off. And I farted so loud. And I know it was like louder because we were half asleep, and I literally, like, my eyes, I'm under his arm, and I look up, and I will never forget. His eyes are open. He's looking down at me, but then he closes them and then he opens them again. And I knew that he was like, do I act asleep? Oh, she saw that I was awake. Okay, I don't. And he didn't know how to react. And I just started laughing because I was like, and I remember laughing and being like, this is so embarrassing. And I couldn't help but laugh. And then he took my cue and he like laughed about it too. But he waited until I laughed. It was really sweet. He was like, I don't know how to react. I don't know. And then I just laughed. But I actually forgot about the extended part of this until recently. I was DMing with him. This has been like a decade. And he reminded me that as we were falling asleep, after that happened, I did it again. 2 times.
Wait.
And we're like, yes.
Wait, what was his reaction when he wasn't pretending to be asleep?
Well, his eyes were closed, and I looked up at him because my eyes like wide, and my whole body like stiffens, and I look at him, and he opened them, and then he closed them again, and then he opened them because I think in his mind it was like, what do I do? Do I pretend to be asleep? Because we were kind of almost asleep, but then he saw that I was looking at him, and then I started laughing, and it was like he was trying to just take my cue, which was sweet. But I got okay, we got over it. We laughed it off. Okay, we're going to go to bed. And then it happened again. And then I was like, oh, and then we were both laughing like extremely hard. And that was the first night I slept over. And then that morning I went to my apartment with my roommate at the time. And I was like, Meg, I am never going over there again. I'm never going to see him again. He's never going to invite me over ever again. That was the most embarrassing night I have ever had. I was like 21. And that day he texted me and was like, can I take you to dinner? And I was like, oh, okay. So the worst is over. It can only go up from here.
Just take a Tums or what the fuck?
Just bring a Gas X with you.
Gas X, exactly.
It was so, and then I told him, because we dated then for like over a year, and it was a thing. The joke, I was like, do not, of all the just do not ever tell anyone this ever. And for a long time, he's like, I promise you, I promise you, I promise you. And then I found out, of course, he told his best friends and roommates at the time, who were also my friends, who I saw every day because I was at his house all the time. I would be
so mad.
I wasn't really mad because I was like, okay, I would have told my best friends too, be like, haha, this happened. But yeah, I was just like, oh my God, it was so mortifying at the time. And I laughed at it at the time, but for a good number of years, that was my most embarrassing story.
Oh my gosh.
It's just the word. I mean, the redemption was that he actually asked me out and then I dated him. It would be even more mortifying if I never heard from him again.
Oh my God. I don't think I have any fart stories because my farts are never loud.
Oh, but you can burp. I can't burp.
it happens naturally. I can't make myself burp. And yeah, so I burp, but it's not all the time, but I've never, and I can usually like know when it's coming. So like usually right now I don't give a shit, but if I cared, I can like mask it once it's coming. But okay, well I was going to go in chronological order, but I just feel like if you're talking about a college boyfriend stuff, I should talk about college boyfriend
Let's
stuff.
Go there.
Okay. I think I've talked about my ex-boyfriend on here before, and I remember retelling you the story when we went out not long ago, Molly.
Yeah.
My ex-boyfriend in college was just like, so
sociopathic.
Yeah, like just toxic.
Yeah.
Shout out. And some of the things that like happen, I mean, like, yeah, of course I'm embarrassed that I believed him when he told me that he had a specific kind of amnesia where all of a sudden he'll forget his short-term memory, and I would have to find him somewhere on campus. And
wait, say that part more clear, Alyssa. What? Because I don't know that they heard that, because I only know it because I know this story.
Okay. Well, he basically he told me when we first started seeing each other that he got into a car accident and it affected a part of his brain. I'm still, if you can't tell, I'm telling this. I am super like, I cringe so much talking about this. The fact that I was like, oh my God, no way. Like,
okay, but you don't expect people to lie about these traumatic life situations in general when you're 18 or 20, whatever.
And honestly, like, there is maybe the smallest chance that this is real, and I'm just making fun of like a very real.
You've done your research. I don't think
like physical trauma, but right. The research is that like all of his ex-girlfriends like me and like would find me out being like, oh my God, I know you dated him. Help me. And I'd be like, I don't know what you know what I mean? And I'd be like, but tell me, or they'd be my friends too, that he just ended up dating, and that sucks too, but whatever. But none of them. And they dated him way longer than I did. And they're like, no, this never happened. He never had amnesia. So basically, yeah, he had a car accident where it affected part of his brain that affected his short-term memory, I think is how he says it. But I don't know if that really tracks. Anyway, he says that at a moment's notice, he can forget things. So I would have to, and this happened. He prepped me for it. And this happened where
he literally would tell you.
Yeah, he would call me. It'd be like middle of the night, like 3 a.m. I would wake up, school night shit. And he'd be like, I need you. And I'm like, oh my God, where are you? And like, he would give me some clues. So basically I would just run over campus, in the middle of the night, which was also like not safe.
No.
And, look for him, and he'd be at like random places. Like at one time was like a random staircase in a dorm, not a dorm. Was it a dorm or like a regular building with classes? I don't know.
But then
and I would have
like...
to I would have to like ask him specific questions like, what's your dog's name? What's your mom's birthday? What's your birthday? What's my middle name? Like all of this stuff.
See, this is what's shady to me, because so he prepped you with like, when this happens, ask me these questions to trigger my memory again. And he claims that it's a short-term memory problem. So all these questions are like, long-term, your mom, blah, blah, blah. But then he interjects you in there and says, ask me your middle name. And like, is that to make you feel like you're part of it? But like, that's a short-term memory situation.
That is. Well, that's what he said. It was short-term memory, but like, it wasn't that like in the moment. He would tell me what to ask him, like when he first told me about it. And maybe there was follow-up conversations. Even I don't remember the follow-up conversations about it. I just remember the first one. He would tell me what questions I would need to ask him once the time comes. And this is another reason why I think it's fake. Not only because the other girls that dated him after said like that never happened.
They never heard of that.
I was also like a virgin, and I feel like he was just trying to sleep with me,
Mm-hmm.
And that was an easy way. But I think why he thought it was easy to do that was because my favorite show was General Hospital. And I think he did his research because at the time, one of my favorite characters, and I probably talked about it, was this character called Jason Morgan. And he had a car accident where it affected his short-term memory.
Alyssa,
and he had
I
a
did not
memory
know
thing.
this part.
Yeah. Well, this is like if I'm being a detective and I'm going through
No,
like
this
all
is
the theories.
very literally what he did. This is not
think
like,
so.
oh, it's kind of the same. A car accident affecting your short-term memory and your favorite male character on your favorite show. This is very specific, and I never knew this part.
Well, this is not even like the story that I wanted. This is not even a part of the story. Yes, I'm embarrassed about this, but this is just leading me to my actual embarrassing story. So one morning, I think I might have told you this. I don't remember, but one morning we're waking up and I lived in a triple room, which with two other girls. I lived on the top bunk.
I remember this.
And my two roommates had already gone to class, and me and oh my God.
Well,
Oh, I gotta tell Ryan to take his name off. Oh no.
I
We're
mean,
bleeping that name.
Okay.
We're bleeping it. We're bleeping it.
okay. I'm like, tell it.
We're definitely bleeping that. Okay. Anyway. So my two roommates had already gone, and me and my ex woke up like later on, like a late morning, and because we didn't have class until later. We had all of our classes together. And we're just waking up, like, you know, just chilling in bed. And I thought I hear, and I'm facing my window, so like my kind of back is kind of facing towards my door. And I hear, like, I think I hear someone knocking on the door. So I kind of just turn my neck that way to see. But as I do, I hear a and I can't move my neck. Did I tell you the story?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I am like, oh my God, I can't move. I'm thinking I'm literally, I cannot move my neck. Oh my God, I have PTSD. I can't even like put my neck in that order anymore. I can't. So I'm like, oh my God, I can't move. I'm crying. I'm like, he's like, what? I'm like, I can't move my neck. I can't move. And we're like, oh my God. I call my dad. Like they're, you know, hours away in South Jersey.
God.
And they're like, I don't know. Like basically like, wait, like I have to skip class. I can't go to class. Like basically
really
just like wait
you were
to
stuck.
see if I can like eat, you know, by as the day goes on, if I can easily, but I could not do it. And my fucking ex, who would skip class to go smoke weed at any moment's notice, was like, "Oh, I gotta go to class." So, and
Asshole.
and I'm like half naked too. Well, this is also like I didn't think I was gonna be in this position for as long as I was. So it's not like it was like help me put on clothes. I just didn't know, and I was alone. Alone.
And you can't move.
All my friends were in classes. Like I couldn't. So I was just, so he was like, I gotta go. He left me there.
Oh.
And this is so funny. And like, even after telling the story, how I would literally wake up in the middle of the fucking night to go find and take care of a fake fucking amnesia.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he, you know what I mean? And he couldn't even like wait with me. It gets even better. So it even more embarrassing too, because I am there all day long, all fucking day. And it's when friends of mine start coming back from their classes and they're just like, and if the whole dorm, it's like the whole floor, because they, you know, it's a theater dorm. So everyone kind of knows each other, but also there was a lot of people I didn't know. And it's my freshman year. People would be like, oh my God, Alyssa, it would be a frenzy. And everyone would come into my room to see the fact that I'm like, can't fucking move. And everyone's finding it hilarious. And I'm like, I can't move. And it just took one friend that lived on the floor. She's like very mom. She's like, I'm calling 911. I'm like, okay. And so like, first of all, what's my fucking ex wouldn't leave class still. And he was like still MIA. What? So my friend Kelsey, who I'm still friends with to this day, she rode the ambulance with me and like called my parents. Yeah. I ended up vomiting on her in the ambulance.
Oh my God.
I don't know why I vomited, but I just did.
You're like, unrelated to any medical issue, I vomited on her.
And then as soon as I get there, I'm in the emergency room. Basically, they tell me that it's a minor sprain that just happens when it's, I don't know.
Jeez.
But everybody, I'm like carted away in the ambulance. So, and I'm on like the 5th floor. So like I'm on a gurney, half naked.
Oh my God.
Yes. In front of the entire huge dorm of people and outside. So I am mortified.
Oh my God.
And then I puke on Kelsey. And then it's so funny. My parents get there and like pour, like I ended up being fine as soon as like they pumped me with some
Yeah,
like
but like you needed
Tylenol
help.
and stuff. I know. But it ended up like not being like super serious, but it was still fucking scary for the time that
Yeah.
what happened. And then I remember I got back to my dorm. My parents had like left to go back to their house. And I'm like in my dorm and I'm like texting my ex, well, then boyfriend, and being like, okay, I'm out of the hospital. Like I wasn't even upset at the time because I'm a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, okay, I'm just doing homework. I will, I'll be there in like just a moment. And like a half hour later, he visited me and I was wearing like kind of like,
Like a
not
brace?
a full brace, but like a mini sort of brace, like not as intense, but a little bit. Anyway, I come to find out this is the tricker, the tricker?
The kicker.
Kicker. Thank you. Okay. So we had shocker broken up not long after that. And a year later, I meet Ryan. And I meet Ryan's friends. And one of his friends, his name's Tommy. And Tommy was the best man at our wedding. And I remember like getting to know Tommy. We were, me, Ryan, and Tommy were hanging out. And he was asking, we just realized we had a lot of mutual friends. And because Tommy was friends with a lot of people in the theater department. And then I'm like, oh, then you might know my ex, so-and-so. And he was like, wait a minute. I remember a night, he's like, I do remember. I met him this one night a year ago where we were all smoking weed in a mutual friend's dorm, and I met him, and we were all smoking weed together. And all of a sudden, he looks at his phone and this dude like looked at us and goes, "Oh, guys, I gotta go. My girlfriend broke her neck."
Oh.
And that was my ex.
Oh my God.
And it was like so weird that it like stuck out in Tommy's
Yeah, that is
mind.
really weird because that's so ew. I'm scared to think about where that man is now. If he was that calculated and manipulative
It's
in
not good, I'll tell you
college
that.
with women, like,
Oh yeah, it's not great. And this is like I was like friends with him still because I don't know, you know what I mean? Like I don't know. I don't have like ill will against him. I really hope he's in a good place. Like even after like I was so gaslit about everything and like all of the, I mean it's very toxic and fucked up that what went on. But like I don't know, whatever. I'm in a way better place, and you know what I mean.
For sure.
But like anyway, I guess what I wanted to tell was a story where I fucking sprained my neck in front of everybody and was left alone.
That's so embarrassing.
Anyway,
in college too.
So bad.
Ugh. Like I said, the first story I told lived as my most embarrassing story for a number of years, but it was taken over because so when I moved out to LA and I was, performing and trying to put my music in a band and all this stuff together, and I was playing shows a lot of places, but I didn't there's a girl that I worked with, and she had a little brother who was a drummer, and she was like, "Oh, my brother's a drummer," and put us in contact via text. He was gonna, and then he was like gonna drum for my next show. I was gonna play piano. He's gonna drum. It's just me, the two of us. But I hadn't met him in person. And one day he was texting me about the show that was coming up, and I was like gonna send him my songs so that he could start to learn them. And the last text I had sent him was, I'm at work. I'm going to send you my songs when I get home in just a little bit. He said, okay. Next thing I know, I am watching the little bar on my phone say sending, as I am sending I'm sorry, Mom, a full-on photo of my ass in a G-string to the wrong person, to him. This is to my friend's little brother who I've never met, I'm gonna rehearse with the next day, and he's gonna perform my show with me.
No.
And I'm watching the bar because I can't stop it. I can't cancel it. I'm watching the bar on my phone just say sending it. It says who it's sending to. Excuse me. And I walked into my living room as this was happening. I had a roommate at the time, but she wasn't home, and all the lights were off. I'm standing in the living room, and I out loud, I was watching the sending bar, and I was like, no. I couldn't stop it. I'm doing everything I can. It sends, and I sit down on the chair in the dark, and I'm shaking. I kind of kind of want to cry, but I'm also laughing. And then my roommate walks in at that moment and she's like, what is going on? I was like having convulsions and she's like, what is happening? And then I was laughing so hard I could barely get it out. And then I was like, I just sent a picture of my ass to Sasha's little brother. And she was like, what in the actual, like okay.
Oh,
and so
I'm
then,
sweating.
so then I'm like, and I cannot be like, oh, I'm sorry. That wasn't me.
Right.
Okay. It was. And, I also can't, I don't know what to say. Thank God he had a sense of humor because I mean, I sent a text that was like, I'm so sorry. I couldn't make an excuse other to only apologize for what you just saw. And then he responded back. He sent me a photo of himself in the same pose in his boxer briefs. Like, haha, like, here you go. And then he's, very next day, I went to meet him in person. I had never met him yet. Also, he's my friend's little brother. He's like, I think he was like 2 or 3 years younger than me. And so then and he lived with his mom at the time. So I go to his mom's house and I knock on the door the next day.
How old was he?
I was 24. So I think he was like 22 or 21.
Okay.
And
well,
he was in college
like
at the time,
underage.
but it was, he was in college, but it was the summer. I think he was home for the summer. So I went to his mom's house. She answers the door and it's the first time we lay eyes on each other and we're like, hey. And then
you don't think she knew?
I don't think she knew, but he and it was a very weird. So then she stays upstairs. We go downstairs to rehearse, and we got down there and she wasn't there, and I was like, I'm really sorry. And he was like, well, I think it's going to be a good show because we already got all that out of the way. So like he handled it really. He was funny. He was he didn't.
Yeah.
He never made a move. He didn't. But it was mortifying. And then I was just like, I can't. What like it was a mortifying moment.
Can't.
Oh God. I was just like, I don't know. And it wasn't even a half covered, like kind of booty shorts. No, straight G-string, straight butt.
Yeah. Oh no. Like mirror shot?
And I told this story.
Like, was it a mirror shot?
No, it was me holding the phone behind me, I think. It was nothing. It was fills the screen. Like it was, and I remember telling this story because my brother and I were talking last year about most embarrassing stories. And my parents were at my apartment and my brother was here, but my dad was taking a nap and my mom was in the other room, and Dylan and I were talking about this and I told him this story. And then, we thought my dad was taking a nap. And then at the end of this story, my dad got up and walked to the bathroom and he stood, and then I looked at Dylan and I was like,
he was awake.
That? And then he walked out of the bathroom and he made some comment. Like Dylan said something, or I said something, and my dad goes, I said something about texting, and he just so nonchalantly goes, make sure you send it to the right person. I was like, oh my God. So that just doubled down on the embarrassing part of that situation. And I will say, the lesson I learned from that is not don't send any photos. No, it's just triple check the name. Well, actually, he told me that day, because I think it was very beginning of Snapchat, but he was like, have you ever heard of Snapchat? And I'm like, no. And he's like, you should get that because the photos disappear after a certain amount of time. Because I sent him that photo, and I was like, okay, this is mortifying.
Oh my God. Have you ever, that's like my worst nightmare to do that. But have you ever, been the subject? Like, has anyone like texted you the wrong thing? And it was like something that wasn't just like random. It was like either about you or like,
I've got, well, when it comes to photos, unsolicited photos that weren't mistakes, but were like not asked, like out of the blue, but like a text in general that was like,
or text
about
or photo,
you. And I don't think so that I remember. Have you?
Yeah. Oh my God. I mean, this is not like, I wasn't embarrassed. It wasn't like terribly bad, but it was so funny. It was like, and it was over something stupid. Like I was in a room, this is in college, with my best friend at the time and this other girl who I wasn't a fan of. She was fucking crazy. But I was like hanging out with her or whatever. And we were all maybe smoking weed. I don't know what we were doing. But all of a sudden I get a text from my best friend being like, don't tell Alyssa about the party.
Oh.
And this is my best friend. I know. Don't tell Alyssa about the party.
No.
And I think there was something else. Don't tell us about the party. because she wasn't invited or something like that.
Oh God.
And I didn't get it at first. I was like a gag. I was like, wait, what? And I look at her and I was like, Caddy? Oh, sorry, Cat, whatever, that's fine. I was like, Caddy? I was like, what is this? And she looks at me and she's trying to, because she's an actor, she's trying to play it off. She's like,
winks at you.
She just winks at me. And it's so Caddy. She's so funny. Like, she's like,
people can't. She's winking. She's winking. If you're not.
Yeah, she's winking. Sorry. Yeah, I'm winking. And I'm like, wait, what? And it's like, I'm realizing like what's going on. Like she was trying to play it off like it was purposeful, like for a second with just winking, but like it was kind of almost working. But then I realized it's like, but I'm like, wait, what party? Wait, what part? What part? Wait, was this meant for me? And then Sarah and her are looking at it like, wait, what? And Caddy's like, oh, sorry. Oh, I just said the girl. Whatever, it's fine. And Caddy's like, oh, it's fine. She was like, we're just going to a party. I didn't want to make you feel bad. It's someone that you don't even like either. Like, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I don't care that I wasn't. Like, I really don't care. I wouldn't have had FOMO.
Like her embarrassing story, maybe, because
it's 100%. It was her embarrassing story. Oh. Yeah, because it's worse than it actually was. Like she literally just didn't want me to feel bad. They were going to this party.
Yeah.
That it was like it was a small party. Someone that I didn't really know that well, and I was like not gonna get FOMO ever at all.
Right.
But it's
it's still cringy.
I was like, yeah, it's cringy. But I was gonna.
What's your next one?
How many do you have left?
I just have, let's see. Well, I have 3. They're not, they're lighter. Those were my 2 doozies. Those were the ones. So I can cut something out here.
I was going to do 1 or 2 next.
Okay.
Left.
Yeah.
What should I do? Do 2 more? Okay. The last one is the funnier one. But I once, it was like one of my first big commercials that I booked. I, booked it. I didn't know I was going to book it. And it was the weekend that I knew I was most likely going to get proposed to in Hawaii.
Oh,
and it was not that I was going to miss the shooting. I was going to miss the fitting of this. And I was like, shit, like I don't want to miss any of these. Yeah. It was like we were going to Hawaii. Yeah. And I couldn't get like refunds on the flights. You know what I mean? It would have been a nightmare, and I wanted to enjoy this with Ryan. So I told my agent and the production that I was going to a funeral.
Oh, I remember that.
So I did. And I missed the fitting and everything, I got proposed to. And then literally, we had a red eye back to LA, and I had to get up like really early that morning. So I only had like a couple hours sleep, if that, and then had to go to set. And how they made it work was I was going to do my fitting literally on set. So I had to be there even earlier. And fittings with me is really hard anyway, because I'm really small, and like I always tell them extra small, but they're like, oh shit, we don't have anything this small.
They have to tailor it and all.
Yeah. And it's like, not even just like oversized as a look, like they want things that are fitted perfectly for commercials.
Right.
So during this fitting, in a trailer at the thing, I was starting to feel nauseous, and I don't know if it was just like I don't know if I was tired, you know what I mean? But I was like, what is this feeling? Like, what is this? And it's getting worse and worse. And it got to the point where I was like, I gotta go to the bathroom. And I literally, shit you not, it was coming out of every hole.
I forgot this.
Every hole.
Oh my God.
Like literally on the toilet, and like with a garbage can. And I'm in a fucking trailer bathroom too. So everyone can hear.
Oh God.
And this is with Jake from State Farm is my co-star in this commercial. Shout out Kevin. And that was mortifying, because I am just, it is just bad. It's coming out everywhere. And I just manage. And also the fitting was a nightmare. They couldn't find anything. I ended up wearing like one of the producer's outfits, because she was like around my size, or one of the like advertising agency people. It was bizarre. So I just managed to get it ended up being the stomach flu. So I had like a fever too.
Oh yeah.
Or no. Yeah. I had a really bad fever. but I managed to get everything down right by lunch, right before we start shooting. So I'm like, okay, perfect. I couldn't eat anything, but I was just managing to not
stabilize.
Exactly. Knowing that what this commercial, oh my God, what's the word? This commercial,
What it's for.
yeah, what I was about to do. Oh my God, I hate when I do that. Anyway, I had to be in a harness.
This was that same day?
Yep. I had to fly in the air and do shots in the air. And I've never been in a harness before. So I knew I had to be like, I was going to be like flying in the air. So it's like, the stakes were high for me to keep because I could literally be up there in front of a whole huge crew of people vomiting.
Oh,
Didn't happen,
God.
thankfully. But what did happen was they did not properly pad the harnesses that me and Kevin were in. And they were cutting us to the bone. It's like this metal, and it hurt so bad. And the plan was for us to be like, the director would have us like be flown up into the air. We do a take, and they take us back down for resting, and then back up, do a take, and then down. That was taking too much time for the director. We were just wasting a lot of time and like daylight. So he would just keep us up there, even though we were like, please take us down. Like, this is like illegal. Like, we were held captive up there.
Yeah.
He wouldn't let us down. He would just make us do take after take until he was satisfied. And it was to the point where me and Kevin were crying. There were tears going down our faces. God. And like, they would let us down only for makeup purposes so we can get retouched because we were crying. I was bleeding by the end of the night. I still have the scars on my hip. That's how bad it was. I still have the scar on my hips from this situation. And like, it was like where the riggers who were like rigging us essentially, where like the crew were like about to yell. They were so uncomfortable because they're like, no, leave them up there. Leave them up there. And they'd be like, they're crying.
Yeah. God, I remember that story. That's a nightmare.
So bad. So it was one of the worst days ever. If you guys want to check out the commercial, it's on YouTube. You can find it now. It's for Henry's Hard Lemonade or something. Henry's Hard Lemonade. You'll find me and Jake from State Farm flying in the air. And I look like shit. Like, it was, you can tell that I'm ill in the shot.
Oh,
like,
God.
I have no color in my face. I'm like super gaunt, or I think that's the word.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's awful. The small bathroom in the trailer is a nightmare to me with other people, and like, that makes me want to shrivel up and die.
But I tell the story to like, I prefaced it saying that I, lied about going to a funeral. I think that was my karma.
Yeah, it came back fast.
It really
came around real quick.
Did. It really did.
This was kind of a minor one in that it rolled off, but I did think of it, so it's in my brain somewhere. But an example of like putting my foot in my mouth where I was like, oh my God, that came across. Loud siren. So my brother was with me, and I lived in LA already. This was in some time in the past, I think maybe 6 years. And we were going home for Christmas, and it's a small town in Washington, and people don't really leave there. Like, they'll go to Seattle sometimes. It's like an hour and a half from Seattle, but small town where people don't really leave. They just stay, and small towns in general. But obviously my brother Dylan left, I left. I'm like living in LA and coming back for Christmas, and then it's just like the same people there. And I ran into one of my friends from high school. She was a good friend of mine, and we weren't like currently in touch, but I saw her when we were downtown, and it was like, oh, how are you? And it was this like, I was in this phase of saying, I was saying this phrase a lot in life, and because of the situation I just described, it came across like, oh God. So I hadn't seen her in years, and I was like, how's it going? What are you up to these days? And she said something like, she's like, oh, just same, just kind of hanging out around here, just working. And I don't remember. It was basically like that. Like, same thing. Yeah. I'm just here in Ellensburg. And it was like an awkward conversation because it's not a friend. So you just kind of like say things like come out, and you're just trying to get the polite chat out and leave.
Yeah.
And I said, she said that, oh, just kind of hanging around here. And I go, classic. And it was like a phrase. the thing I was saying during those days at a time, like something would happen. I'm like, oh, classic. Like, oh, I was just saying it all the time. But I said it and then I heard it. I was like, oh my God. And we walked away and she, what, she's like, oh yeah. And then I like scrambled to say something nice and we walked away and we got in the car and I was like, Dylan, I can't. And he goes, I know. I didn't know what to say.
Oh
like,
no, he heard it
yes,
too.
he was like, that was so awkward. But he knew I didn't mean it like that. But it was like, it came out. I didn't know what else to say. And then I just said something that I'd been saying in recent months, like all the time. Like I was using it as a phrase all the time, but never was I speaking to a friend from high school who didn't leave the small town and then telling me how she didn't leave the small town. And I'm back from LA and I say fucking classic. And I like this girl a lot. Like I was just like,
wait, so after you said it, did you like, oh, is this something I'm saying? Like, what did you say?
I didn't say, oh, that's a phrase I'm saying, is I didn't want her to think that I thought it's, but I
I know what you mean.
So
then you'll make it a thing, and then she'll still be self-conscious.
Yes. I don't be like, oh no, not because you're staying here. It's just gonna dig the hole deeper.
Yeah.
But I did try to smooth it out. I think I said like, because what I meant, because the way she had phrased, I think the reason I said it is she was basically saying like, the bigger picture of it was like, oh, just doing. It wasn't about staying in town. I don't know. I scrambled and I tried to smooth it over and like, oh yeah, I'm still like, I'm just still working on, I don't know what I said, but I do remember like getting in the car, walking away and being like, oh my God. As soon as I said it, I was like, that sounded so rude and judgmental. And I did not mean, it's like putting your foot in your mouth and you can't.
Yeah.
And thankfully, like it wasn't the worst thing. And she handled it. And I like to think she didn't clock it, but I'm guessing she did. And then my Dylan's reaction, him being like, yeah, that came out. Oh, I was like, oh God, so embarrassed. I felt so bad. I was just like, that's not what I
love it that like also is just like classic is like,
yeah.
Classic.
Like, why would I? Yeah. I just like, it was this weird silence where it's like, you just are you're walking down the street and you just want to like keep walking your directions, but you have to say something. And then it was like I just said that. I'm like, why did I just say that? Like, it was just so bad.
Oh my God. That's
Sincerest
hilarious.
apologies if you're listening.
Oh my God. That's really funny. Aw. Okay. So I have one more.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this you might already know, but this is still just a funny one. I almost killed somebody. So this is at the restaurant that we used to work at.
Oh,
and this is one of my first couple years of serving, maybe my first year of serving.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say our manager's name, Javi, who we love. Shout out Javi. And he was one of our managers at the time. And so, okay. So I get this table, and this was like a weekend. Oh, yeah. To set the scene. And our restaurant was really popular because it was near what school?
Staples Center. Oh.
What school would like people from the school would always go to
USC, UCLA.
USC, yes, yeah, USC. So it was USC graduation or like orientation weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Not graduation, it was like the first week of classes. The parents were there, and a lot of students. And I had a family. I had a 6-top. It was 5 or whatever, and they were really sweet family. They were in town because their son had gotten into USC. It was his freshman year. And like, they were like getting him settled into his dorm, and they were really happy. And it was a really sweet family. And then I asked, he's like, is there any allergies? And they're like, oh yeah. So my son, the son that's, going to be a freshman, he has a severe, nut allergy, like severe, any type of nut. They were like, he'll like die. You know what I mean? So it is very important that none of what he gets has nuts in it. And I'm like, got you. No problem. I got you, fam. So I'm going over the menu with them, and they are starting to put in apps, and they put in the pesto gnocchi.
Oh, the pine nuts.
Oh, hold on. And
is that it?
So nothing even registers to me yet, but I'm like, but something does. And I like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, wait, pesto, I'm just going to ask about that. But I don't say anything to them yet. Mm-hmm. Or maybe I did. Or maybe I would be like, I don't know. I think I just said everything that they order. I'm just going to double check. I don't think I was just, you know what I mean?
Also, I just side note, if your son has a deadly allergy to nuts, you would probably know that pesto, what it's
I know.
but okay.
100%. And it's something that I should have just clocked immediately, like, no. But it was something that I didn't know for sure, but I was going to double check.
Yeah.
But like they put the fear of God, like they stress, like he will die if he has any type of nut. So I go to the kitchen and I put it in the computer and I verbally tell them, the chef, I forget who it was at the time. It doesn't matter. And I'm like, severe nut allergy. I'm putting it in the computer. They want the pesto gnocchi, this, and this. Is there any problems with any of these dishes? He's like, nope, you're all good. I'm like, okay, I'm putting it in. And I put it in like nut allergy in the computer. Yeah. So everything is Gucci. And they get their small plates and they sit it down. And as soon as it hits the table and I'm watching him putting it in his mouth, it dawns on me, what is going on? And I'm like, hold on a second. Pine nuts are in pesto, right? And I go to Javi, our manager, and I'm like, Javi, it's like, actually, it's like, right, it's about to hit the table, the dish. And I'm like, I mean, I asked the chef, but whatever. Javi, like, there's no nuts in our pesto gnocchi, right? And he goes, yeah, pine nuts. And I'm like, but no. He's like, no. There's nuts in there. And I'm like, oh my God. And I'm looking at him eating it from across the room. And I'm like, I'm having a fucking heart attack.
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God, I would die.
Javi has a severe nut allergy. He's like, and Javi's great. He's like, okay, just calm down.
He's great.
He's like, okay, I'm going to go talk to the table. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, but I did everything I told the chef. He's like, but I still should have known. I don't want to put everything on the chef. I still should have known myself.
Well, the chef should surely know.
And like he went to the chef and we were both like, oh shit. And he's like, it's okay. I'm going to talk to the table. So I'm just watching. I don't know what Javi's plan was. I think it was just to be like, we'll monitor. And I'm so sorry to I don't even know if they had one. I think they must have, but they didn't get it out. Anyway, I'm watching Javi. This is so dumb. I'm watching Javi talk to them, and I'm looking at the fear in the entire family's face. Like, I'm like, oh my God. I'm going to lose my job. I don't know what's going to happen. He's going to die. I'm literally killing somebody. So then the chef was like, I don't know what the fuck just happened, but he was just like, wait, no, it's a new recipe. There's no nuts in this. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, there's no nuts in this. So I'm like, oh, okay, I'll go. And I ran to the table where Javi was still talking to them. And I was like, no, Javi, it's the new recipe. There's no nuts in this. Like, we're actually good. And then I look and they're like, thank God. And then Javi looks at me and he looks back at the table. They're like, okay, well, just in case we'll still like monitor, but like good thing, yeah. And then pulls me and then we like leave the table and he's like, no, Alyssa, I don't know what he's talking about. There is no new recipe. There are still nuts in there. Oh, and I'm like, what do we do? Alyssa. And he's just like, we just have to see what happens. You know what I mean? Like, what can we do? Like, you know what I mean? So then, because he wasn't feeling anything yet. And so basically, I don't think Javi wasn't reaming us out, but like if he did, he definitely reamed it. He didn't ream me out. He reamed out the chef and like the cooks and stuff. But I don't think so. It wasn't really his style.
Did the kid go to the hospital?
No, nothing happened. Not a closed throat. Nothing happened. I had a heart attack for fucking nothing.
Oh my God.
And they say that like if you have a nut allergy, you most likely won't have a pine nut allergy because that's like a fruit.
It's different. Yeah.
It's in a different family. I mean, like it's possible that people are
it's called pine nut, but it's not a nut in the same way.
Yeah. It's possible to have that included, but it's not common to have it all across the board nut allergy. It can happen. But most likely, if a nut allergy, pine nuts have not, like, you'll be fine with pine nuts.
Oh my God.
I
would just completely melt into the floor.
It's one thing when you get mess up orders, but it's one thing when you literally like, because they put the fear of God, like, I will die if I have a nut. I will die.
Bold move, sending your kid away to college then, if you're that scared for him.
I know, bold move. I mean,
like
cross-contamination, you cannot predict in restaurants anyway. So if you have, like that deathly, do not go out to eat, cook your own food.
That is terrifying.
I mean, it's also like you literally like this family made me have a heart attack. It's kind of I put this family, the fact that like they don't know, you don't know your allergies enough to know that like pine nuts and pesto was, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That first of all that you like pesto had nuts in it or pine nuts in it, and then second of all that it wasn't that bad of an allergy. Like you just gave your waitress a heart attack.
That is so scary. Oh my God.
But they tipped well
God.
because it ended up being fine because they thought they were like, oh, it was the new recipe and it's totally fine.
Oh my God. I have one. Do we have time?
Yeah.
This was my last one. So in 5th grade, we moved to Norway and we lived in Norway, just my family and I, for like 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And so I missed half of 5th grade. And before I went, I had the biggest crush on this boy, Kellen. Huge crush. Like I think I had a crush on him for already like since 3rd grade or something.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 5th grade, and he has a crush on me back. And the night before we left for Norway, he called my house. You know, the house phone that's attached to the wall, the cord in the kitchen.
Love that.
And he said he wanted to say goodbye to me, and could I come over to the school and say goodbye because I lived like a couple blocks from the school.
How old were you?
5th grade. So
5th grade,
11.
Okay. Wow.
10 or 11, it was like the beginning. I didn't go. I wasn't allowed or didn't ask or whatever. I didn't go say goodbye to him, but I had a big crush on him. And then I was like bummed out because I'm like, now we're going to living in another country before any kind of social media, and in 5th grade for 6 months is an eternity. That's all my grade. So I basically missed all of 5th grade. So we go to Norway, and then while we're there, this is 1999. So my parents, or 2000, whatever, tell my brother and I that we can open our first email account because we're out of the country and we can't talk to any of our friends. So we each get our own email account, and that was like the cool thing. We go to the computer lab every day and check our email and all that. And I was emailing with him, and so I had friends. So yeah, I had an email with him, and I remember him telling me that he had a crush on me, and we were having these little like lovey emails back and forth where he was like, I remember him being like, "What's your favorite song?" Mine is "Bye Bye Bye" by NSYNC.
Good taste. Good taste.
Yeah, hey, that shit hit.
Yeah.
So we were like having a whole like email flirtation, innocent 11-year-old thing.
Yeah.
Back and forth though, and I remember him asking me in one of the emails, "Will you be my girlfriend when you get back?" And I told him yes because I was like, I'm so into him.
Yeah.
But my friends, this is so like 2000s, 'cause the whole email thing. My best girlfriends were also emailing me like individually at this time, and they said, Kellen came to school today and said that you said you'd be his girlfriend when you get back. And I don't know why I did this because my friends weren't like making fun of me. They didn't care. They were just like, you said this. Yeah. And I was like, I did not. I did not say that. And so then it gets, so I was like, this is all over email. And I'm like, I didn't say that. Why would he say that? I didn't say that. And he's like going to recess and spreading this around. So then they believe me, and they go to recess the next day and they're like, Molly did not say that. Like, we talked to her. She did not say that. And he comes to recess the next day with my email printed out. It shows them.
He said, I will not be a liar today.
Yes. And meanwhile, this is like I don't remember what the time difference is, but this is like night while day. Like this is a week-long thing, right? And so then they're like, he came in today and he had the email. And I don't know what I said, but I convinced all 3 of my closest girlfriends that he was lying. He typed it up. He made it up. Even after he brought the printed thing, they fully believed me at the end of that. I'm like, he brought, so then I come back from Norway like months later, and I remember I was hanging out, we had just gotten back like that week, and all 3 of my closest girlfriends were at my house, and we're all like, in the living room, and I was like, guys, guess what? And they're like, what? And I was like, Kellen was telling the truth. I lied. And they were all like, what? Like, why did you do that? And I don't know why I did that.
But when he brought in the emails, what did they think that was? They didn't believe.
So they believed him when he brought it in. Then they emailed me and they were like, he brought in the email. Like, he brought an email in. And
you just said it was like, oh, it was fake. Oh, yeah.
I was like, he typed it out. Like, he typed it out. I didn't
Got it.
And so I don't know if this is in the embarrassing story category. It's embarrassing that I felt the need to lie about that for no reason. And then come back and then it was like, ha ha ha, guess what, guys? And they were all like, they laughed, but they were also all like, what? Why?
Yeah, it was.
And I never told him, I'm sorry. I don't remember what even happened after. I'm just like, and I really liked him. And so I don't understand what in my 11-year-old brain. I don't know, but I'm sorry, Kellen. I'm sincerely sorry.
Yeah, maybe it was just like the fact that you were a part of gossip, and maybe like the lying was you like, I don't want to be a part of this. Because maybe it's like,
I do remember, I remember feeling violated is way too strong a word. I remember not liking the fact that while I was living in another country, people were talking about me at recess back home.
Yeah.
I didn't like that at all. You know what? You're right. It made me, I do remember being upset that he was like telling people, not because I didn't like him, but I was like, you're just blasting this on the playground, and like I'm in Norway and I don't, that did bother
because
me.
who knows what they're saying about you? Like they could be making fun of you guys. Like,
and I actually I've kept a journal since I was 9, so I have journals like my whole life for the last like over 20 years. And I remember a couple years back, I was going through my parents' storage unit, and my journals are in there, and I was reading them from Norway, and it bothered me. Like I remember I wrote about it, and I was like, why would he go and tell people? I'm just private about stuff, even if it's like I do feel that way, but I don't like when people just go and blast shit. Even if he was just excited, he was just telling my friends, but I didn't like that.
I feel you. I mean, I get it. I feel like I would have done maybe.
But I'm just super stubborn. I took it too far, and I dug my heels in way too far. I took it too far, but it did stem from that, from being like, oh, don't tell everybody my business. Because
you can't get ahead of the story. Like, you know what I mean? You're not a part of the narrative yourself. You can't be like, we're dating, and people can't ask you questions.
And by the time I'm finding out about this, it's time differences, and it's email because it's 1999. So I'm like, this happened 2 days ago. Like, it bothered me a lot.
Yeah. And you didn't know for sure, like maybe your friends could have had an angle where they would have made fun of you afterwards, but it ended up being an innocent question. But who knows? Maybe they would have. It could have been that kind of fear.
You're my best friend. Who knows, Molly? Maybe they were really out to get you. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I'm not. I was actually the right move that I lied. I was a good.
Maybe
call.
This guy's a fucking piece of shit, and he's like in jail now.
Oh my God, so weird. So weird. But yeah, just don't invade my privacy, I think, is the bottom line.
No, I get it. I mean,
I don't know.
I guess I feel bad. I get feeling bad, but there could I get also wanting privacy.
Yeah, and then once you lie about one thing and you're like, and then he prints it out.
I know.
Like, you went that far? No, he typed it out.
No, he lied. At least you got the courage to actually tell your friends in person.
Yeah. And I was like, the first day I saw them after being gone 6 months, I remember being like,
it was weighing on your conscience.
It was weighing on me, and I was like, guys.
Aww.
Yeah, so that happened. Wow, this was cathartic.
Yeah, I feel better. I hope you guys feel better that we were self-deprecating for the sake of entertainment.
Yeah. I hope
this is immortalized.
Still our friends. Mom, I hope you didn't disown me.
To my ex, you really shaped me how I am today. So thank you.
Thank you for that. To my ex. I have to say, the one I farted with. He did tell me
on.
When I farted on, thankfully not on, but it's really close. I remember him telling me one time, I was talking about how this was so embarrassing. We were dating at this point, and I was like, God, that was so embarrassing. And to his credit, he was really sweet. He's like, you know what my dad told me once? He told me, don't ever date a girl that you can't picture sitting on a toilet and taking it. If you can't picture her on the toilet taking a shit and still love her, don't date her.
You know what? Sound advice.
Yeah, I was like, okay, that makes me feel better.
That's true. That's true.
Yes. Also, to our listeners, this is the week. This is the week for it. Anonymously or whatever, send in.
Yeah, we should do a little story. Yeah.
DM us your embarrassing stories, or you can drag us for ours. But this is the week for engagement here.
Yeah, this is just the bearing your soul episode. This is just we are unabashedly shameless, and we are there, and we do not judge because glass
we
houses
ourselves are cringy.
Yeah, and I mean, I've got more stories too, but you know what I mean? It's like, what are you going to do? We got to do a little bit. Maybe we'll have another part if you guys like this, but
exactly.
I mean, hey, we learn from these.
Classic.
Yeah. Classic. What are you up to these days? Oh, I'm actually like, I'm going to the doctors a lot. They found something and they're kind of nervous about it.
God.
Like, I don't know. I'm hoping everything, my health is everything. I don't know what's going on. Classic.
Yeah, what the fuck? Oh, I feel so bad.
Oh, how are you doing these days? Oh, not great. I just buried my dog. It was my childhood dog. It was my best friend. The only person I could ever be myself with was my dog, and I just buried him. Classic.
Classic. Oh, okay.
Oh, how are you doing? Oh, my parents just got a divorce. Yeah. Classic.
Oh my God. Because it is classic. Oh God. Yeah, cringy. Guys,
Anyway.
please follow us on Instagram at the SOS Pod, on Twitter, or on YouTube. Anywhere you find your podcast, SOS with Molly and Alyssa. Rate and review us. Please do that. It really helps us grow this. And Patreon, $3 a month, $7 a month, $11 a month. Shout out Black Lives Matter and Planned Parenthood, because we're all gonna die. I'm Molly Cottrell.
I'm Alyssa Rosano.
And here's to turning really embarrassing meltdowns
into maybe entertaining magic?
to entertaining magic 20 years later. Nice.